Welcome to the Rewatch Room podcast.
Welcome to the Rewatch Room. Now, I'm going to restart it. Welcome to the All right. Welcome to the Rewatch Room podcast, where we rewatch or watch for the first time your favorite classic films and review them. I'm Christian, along with my co-host, Callan. Callan, what did we watch this week?
This week, we decided to watch The Godfather. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola. We decided to watch this one because it's one of the most critically acclaimed movies of all time. Second on the list of IMDb's top 250 movies.
Yeah,
we'd both never seen it before. Sounded like a good place to start. We know it's a classic, well-renowned. So,
yeah, I feel like it's one of those movies that, like, the film bros on Reddit and all that sort of stuff are kind of like, you haven't watched a movie until you've seen The Godfather. So I feel like, that's like, a very strong case for where we're starting at and things like that.
I don't know how neither of us have seen this before, but
I mean, initially, we didn't even really want to watch it. We kind of started watching it because, when we were coming up with this podcast and everything, since this is our first episode, we were kind of, just joking around as friends do and saying, what would be a good movie to start, a vintage film podcast? And Callan kind of joked and he's like, let's watch The Godfather. And I was just like, okay, so here we are. We watched The Godfather, and it was definitely a long movie. It comes in right under 3 hours.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
It was a bit of a slow burner for sure, especially being made in 1972. But all in all, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I mean, I did watch it at like 10:30 p.m. all the way up until 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. So that was definitely, I think that affected the way that I watched the movie. It was definitely captivating, though. I thought the movie was great. I really enjoyed it. I even realized that some of like the greatest film legends like of all time were in this movie, like Marlon Brando playing Vito, aka the Godfather, and Al Pacino playing Michael. I was like, I don't know. For some reason, it just kind of slipped my mind until after I watched the movie, because I'm kind of used to at least seeing Al Pacino as, like an 80-year-old man. So I didn't even really put two and two together. And then obviously Marlon Brando is long past, but it was just kind of crazy to think about that in that way. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Like I said, going into this movie, other than hearing that it's like one of the best movies of all time, like you said, all the film bros like glazed the hell out of it. I did not know any of the cast really. I mean, I knew Al Pacino was in it. This is like one of his biggest franchises of all time. But yeah, I didn't know Marlon Brando played Don Corleone. Let's go into some of the cast here. So James Caan played Sonny. Richard Castellano played Clemenza. Yeah. Robert Duvall, Tom Hagen. Sterling Hayden played McCluskey. John Marley as Jack Waltz. Richard Conte as Barzini, which we didn't really see much of him in the movie.
He was definitely spoken about a lot, but
yeah. Al Lettieri, if I'm pronouncing that right,
Lettieri, I think,
as Salazzo or the Turk, and then Diane Keaton as Kay Adams.
I'm gonna have to look this up, bro, but Diane Keaton is an obvious film legend, and it's kind of crazy to see, at least when we're looking here on the the IMDb, that Diane Keaton is lower on the list of cast members, because if this movie were to come out a couple years ago, unfortunately she did pass in 2025, but I feel like she would have been top billed, and most of these people, I guess since we weren't born in the 70s or whenever these people were kind of critically acclaimed, besides Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, and Diane Keaton, I have never heard of any of these actors. I don't know about you. Have you ever heard of any of these people?
No, I'm in the same boat. Even Diane Keaton, you're saying that she's very well known. I don't really know her. What other films has she done? Because this is the first. I'm not even kidding. I don't know. Maybe her
Honestly,
name sounds
I
familiar.
can't even name a movie that she's been in, but I just know she's a legend. Like they did like a big tribute to her during the Oscars a couple months ago. Things like I know she's just like a very, famous actress. But it was kind of I don't know if this was like her first role or what, but or like her breakout role. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, her character didn't really have much to do in the movie. I will say that she was kind of just playing like the stereotypical like I don't want to say damsel in distress, but just kind of like
Yeah.
you know, just like wife that's yearning to, or girlfriend that's yearning to marry Michael. So
Yeah, she was kind of kept on the back burner for most of the film, but I feel like she played a bigger role as far as the plot goes earlier on, kind of keeping Michael grounded in a sense.
Callan, I know you just got done talking about, you had never heard of Diane Keaton, but obviously we had both heard of Marlon Brando and Al Pacino. And, we could just go through the cast list. We don't have to hit every single person or every
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
that was in the movie, but what did you think about the kind of major performances for each character? What did you think about, Marlon Brando as Don Corleone and Al Pacino as Michael specifically?
Well, I thought those two performances are really what carried this movie. Um, especially Al Pacino as Michael and his transformation into Don Corleone towards the end of the film. Um, he really started off as someone who wanted nothing to do with that criminal lifestyle, being part of the quote unquote family business, as they called it. Um, but I thought both of them were a demanding presence on screen. They
I
did
will
a
say, like,
fantastic job.
they kept calling it a family business, which I just thought was hilarious. Like, what business is this? Like, I mean, I guess like the mafia, like they're making money by knocking people off and doing, crooked business deals and stuff like that. I just think it's funny that they called it a family business.
Uh, I guess that's just the term that they used. Because you can't really outright say like, we're just pulling illegal stunts left and right. So I mean, they had law enforcement in their pocket, politicians in their pocket. The general public knew who they were, pretty much what they were about, not to be trifled with.
It's the second highest movie on IMDb.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Kind of get into a little bit of the plot here. I feel like when you're opening up, it's a very intimate scene with Don Corleone, basically the guy who's asking him to knock off two people that unfortunately beat up his daughter, and she was in the
Hmm.
hospital and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff. I felt like from there, I thought the movie was going to be completely different than it actually turned out to be, because after that, it's almost like a roller coaster. The movie is 3 hours, and sometimes the pacing is a little bit weird, but kind of you get to the daughter's wedding scene and the iconic line that Vito has and stuff like that, but it was kind
You
of a
co-
roller coaster after that. Like it's just a lot.
you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding,
you
asking for a favor.
you come to me.
You disrespect me. So once that scene wraps up, you find out they are at his daughter's wedding, like literally at his daughter's wedding. They go out,
Yeah,
the
like it's literally
reception.
happening.
Yes, exactly. I'm assuming the reception is happening. I'm assuming it's a big Catholic wedding.
Yeah, big
There's
Italian wedding or
big
something like
Italian
that.
Catholic wedding. I mean, there's hundreds of people there. Um, it's outdoors. His daughter Connie is getting married. So during the wedding, you kind of get introduced to a lot of characters, most of them actually.
Yeah, probably like
You
the main characters that kind of can like make the plot go on. The other characters that you're introduced to don't really do anything for the rest of the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, exactly. You get introduced to the three sons. So you have the youngest son, Michael Corleone. Um, obviously one of the driving forces of the movie. He's there at the wedding in his military outfit. He's with his, I'm assuming, his a
His
girlfriend at the
girlfriend? Yeah,
time.
they never
Yeah,
really say,
I guess
but
they're not engaged. So his girlfriend Kay. You get introduced to Sonny, the eldest son, who I'm pretty sure the first scene you see him in is he's banging a chick like upstairs, and he's being called upon by his father, and he's like 1 second, and then proceeds to finish the deed. So that kind of tells you a little bit about his character. Then you get introduced to Frito, who kind of was glossed over. I honestly didn't even realize he was one of Don
the
Corleone's
sons.
sons at first. He's kind of like the, I don't know.
He's just like kind of forgotten about. Fredo's kind of just like a little,
Yeah, the
I don't
forgotten
know.
son.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the disappointment, but he's drunk at the wedding. He's kind of like
I
fumbling all
think
over
he
the
just like
place.
he just kind of follows whatever the dad says. Like
Yeah,
Michael and Sonny kind of have like their own attitudes and motivations. Fredo's just kind of like an extension of Vito.
yeah. You get introduced to Tom Hagen, who you find out he is the family's lawyer. Um, they're his only client, so he kind of just covers up all of their wrongdoings and illegal activity. You find out he's an adopted son. I think his parents died at a young age, and they took him in, if I'm not mistaken. Do you
Yeah, I don't
remember?
really no, I don't remember 100%. I just remember Michael telling Kay that like it was, his adopted brother
Yeah,
because I think he like made note that obviously he was not Italian.
yeah.
Um
And then you get introduced to some of the other minor characters. Johnny Fontaine, who he comes to the wedding. He basically tells Don Corleone that he's trying to get this part in the movie. They denied him, asked for him to kind of coerce the director into giving him the role. He's a big singer, a well-known singer. When he shows up to the wedding, I mean, all of the
like
girls
everyone
are like
freaks out. They're
fawning
like
over
he's
him.
coming.
You find out that Don Corleone basically financed and jump-started his career, basically got him to where he is now. So he's there. You're introduced to Luca, the muscle of the Corleones. Basically,
Yeah, I don't think he's related to them, but he's kind of in the, in the mafia family, so to say.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm assuming he's kind of like the guy that's you have standing beside you when you're making a deal. Find out like the FBI is kind of like meddling around in the wedding. So Sonny went out to where all the cars are parked. You see the FBI there. They're in their, I mean, they looked like PIs to me. I didn't know they were FBI until they mentioned it, but they were all like writing down the license plate. Sonny's like, "Get the hell out of here, blah blah blah, get lost. It's a wedding." And then there's a photographer and he's taking pictures, and then Sonny throws him out of the wedding quite literally and smashes his camera. But I didn't know if he worked for the FBI because he throws cash at him. So I don't know if he was like just a photographer that was hired and he didn't want him there, or what it
Yeah, I
was.
mean, there
But
was like another scene, I think either before or after that another person like smashes a photographer's camera. So I think like, obviously with all of their family business dealings, they just didn't want anybody to be be, photographing anything because I guess it could be used as evidence.
so yeah, Johnny asks for a favor to get the movie role. Don decides to send Tom, his adopted son, the lawyer of the family, to Hollywood to persuade I guess it's the producer of the film. His name's Jack Woltz. They're
They
in
like fly out to
Hollywood.
LA.
They
Yeah.
fly out there. Tom is there. Tom walks right on the set, walks up right up to Jack Woltz and says, "Hey, give Johnny this role." Jack is instantly offended. Throws him off set. Tells him to get lost. Thinks that he is just some lackey that Johnny hired to like kind of threaten him in a way. He doesn't know that he's coming from the Corleones. Afterwards, he finds out and it decides to invite Tom to his mansion to have, I guess, dinner or whatever. Yeah, it was a bit odd, especially considering that even after inviting him to his house and they had a discussion about it, he like blew up and
Throws him out of
kicked
the
Tom
house.
out of the house. Yeah,
But
it's
he
like he just
invited him there.
doubled down. Like yeah, I was kind of confused by that. The reason that he didn't want Johnny to not have the role basically brought up this young actress, and he paid for her education, he paid for her training as an
Oh yeah, you're
actress.
right. You're right. You're right.
He brought her in, invested all of this time and money and care into this girl, and apparently she ran off with Johnny. And I don't
He
they
felt like it
don't
was
they,
like a wasted investment.
yeah, they don't really touch on it, but Jack Woltz essentially says like he felt insulted. um his reputation was tainted because of that, and he made a fool of him, so Johnny will never ever get the part. Tom gets sent home with the bad news. In the next scene, you find out that they sent some guys. Jack Woltz waking up in his bed, you see a little blotch of blood on his blanket. You don't know if maybe somebody decided to stab him in his sleep or what's going on. Unveils the covers, there's a pool of blood, and then at the end of the bed is his $600,000 horse's head, severed head, right there in the bed with him. What did
Dude,
you think about that?
I was like, I truly did not know what to expect. That was kind of like the first part where I was like, all right, let's see what's going to happen here. Like, this was the first really intriguing part. Definitely did not expect a horse head to be in the
Yeah.
bed.
But the movie was made in the 70s, so like obviously like the kind of like cliche trope of like the screaming like in horror is very campy, and that really set it off for me. Was when he saw the horse's head, it's just like him screaming for 10 seconds. Yeah.
Like you said, the screaming and stuff was a little ridiculous to watch in this era. But like I said, back then it kind of would have been seen as I guess a normal thing in a movie. Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, I think
know.
it was trying to show like just that if you mess with them, they're gonna do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely don't cross them.
Yeah, 100%. After that, we kind of get into what I see as like one of the main plots of the movie. There's not really an overarching plot. The only overarching plot that I saw is Michael's transition.
Yeah, that
And
it felt like it could be like, there was like kind of just random things happening, but then
yeah,
obviously it had the overarching Michael story, but it wasn't like, this is the main story.
so like I said, we get into what I see as one of the bigger plots of the movie is Salazzo is sent to the Corleones. He basically proposes to Don Corleone that he wants their investment in the narcotics business. He pitches his idea to him. He wants I think it was like $1 million investment. Corleones would get 30%. They're gonna rack in 3 to 4 million a month, something like that. Corleone not fond of the idea. He doesn't want any part of it. He tells him, they've got the police on their side. They've got politicians on their side. They're fine with helping the Corleones out with certain businesses. I guess their main source of income is gambling. If I interpreted
Yeah, they
that
were, I mean, it
correctly.
was just a bunch of different, like, just the, obvious, like, just mafia stuff that was happening in, like, the 50s and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. So his reasoning for turning it down is like, if we get into this type of business, there's gonna be, violence, and they're not gonna have political structure to back them up
Yeah,
when
like, I think they
push
were
comes
just
to
like,
shove.
we're gonna, like, damage our reputation, basically, if we get into
That
this
too,
drug
yeah.
business. But I thought it was kind of weird because it's like, I mean, I understand like the political connections and the police connections and all this sort of stuff, but it's like at least showing that the Corleones have a little bit of empathy, but it was kind of showing like, hey, we don't want to get involved in drugs. Like maybe that's a little bit too much for us. It was just a combination of a bunch of different stuff of why they didn't want to do it.
That's an interesting perspective. I didn't really get that at first. It was kind of like showing that the Corleones, like you said, they didn't want to get into the narcotics for morality reasons, I guess, in a way. They didn't want to be involved in that. Salazzo was sent by the Barzinis, which is another major, I guess, like mafia family during that time. So after he turns him down, Don Corleone decides to send Luca to basically get some information because he knows that Barzini and Salazzo are working together. He sends him to meet Salazzo and Bruno. So he gets there. Before that, they kind of the Corleones put it out there, misinformation that Luca isn't happy with the Corleones. They're kind of like trying to puppeteer this whole operation by putting out a false narrative that Luca isn't happy. That's the reason why he's meeting with them, to see if he can get hired into their family, I guess.
Yeah, see if he takes the bait.
Yeah. So he meets with Salazzo, he meets with Bruno Barzini. They obviously heard the information, and they offer him a job. They're like, we hear you're not happy. How would you feel about this? And Luca doesn't really say much, but he's shortly killed. Immediately. They were 2 steps ahead of Don Corleone. They knew that they were being lied to about Luca not being happy. They knew he was sent there to gather information. So they went ahead and just strangled him right there on the spot.
Yeah, they weren't going to get double crossed.
Yeah. While this is happening, Don Corleone is kind of like out in the town. He's with his driver. They stop.
And his son, I think. I think they're with Fredo too.
Fredo's there. Okay, like I said, Fredo for me, dude, I didn't even know he was a son until like halfway through the movie. when they decided to send him to California. They stop at a fruit stand because Don Corleone's like, almost some fruit. And he gets out, he's picking the fruit, and then a drive-by happens. It all happens like in the flash of an eye. I mean, it's pretty sudden. He's walking back to his car, drive by, they get out, they shoot him like 5 or 6 times. He drops. I think he's dead on the spot.
Yeah, same. I'm like, how did he? I mean, I guess spoiler, but how did he survive that? Like, genuinely.
Yeah, I was shocked. In my notes while I was taking it, I was like, "Oh, they killed him. He's dead." And then like 10 minutes later, I was like, "Just kidding."
I thought that was gonna be like the transition with like his son, like starting there. You know what I mean? Like I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, like he's dead. Like this is really gonna like get the plot going." But obviously, there's still a lot to say.
I thought Don Corleone was gonna be kind of like the main character of this story.
Yeah, I agree. I
thought it was gonna closely follow him. It's pandemonium at this point. Now it's like a full-on, essentially a turf war between the two families.
All the different mafia families.
So the family's kind of trying to discuss what to do. Don Corleone's in the hospital. And they call Michael. He's not normally involved with this. The way I understood it is like he's still close with his family, but as far as the business, quote unquote, business side of things go, he doesn't get involved in any of that. So this is kind of like the first time he's aware of it. He's aware of what they do, but he doesn't want any part of it. And
yeah, I think
kind of the first time that they bring him in for him to be a part of it and actually take action.
They even like make note of that. Like either one of the brothers is like saying, we don't want Michael to get involved in this and all this sort of stuff. But I think like, it did show like, with all of the flaws of the characters, I think it showed that Michael, cared about his dad more than like anyone, considering, what's about to happen.
Definitely. Yeah. He didn't approve of kind of what they were involved in, the type of activity they did. But at the end of the day, he loves his family. So he's always going to be there for them. So they bring him in, find out that Paulie, who's a young kid, I'm assuming he's like no older than 20 years old. He was kind of like a lapdog for the Corleones. He did all their, their not dirty work. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, go get me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. He's the dude in the office that's like, all right, go to Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly. They find out that he's the one that kind of betrayed the family and told Salazzo and the Barzinis that they were sending Luca there to gather information, kind of revealed where Don Corleone was going to be so that they were able to get a hit on him. So they find out it was him. They take care of him real quick. They bring him out to a field, just shoot him right then and there. It's violent, but at the same time, and to see that kind of gore nowadays, a lot of people say that this movie is like, oh my God, it's so violent, it's so gory. For me, I wasn't like that taken aback by a lot of the deaths. I think the
practical effects, though, make it like more realistic. Like I feel like when you just see like, I don't know, like nowadays you watch something and you see like 100 people get like mowed down by like a dragon or something. Like it just looks so fake. But like
Yeah.
that was kind of like a little bit more abrupt.
I thought some of the practical effects were really good. I thought some of them were comically bad. Okay, so Don Corleone's in the hospital. Michael is sent to check up on him. So he just wants to go visit his father. He gets to the hospital, which I don't know for you, but God, this hospital was in poor shape. I didn't believe it was a hospital, but I guess that's what they looked like back then. I mean, it looked like
Dude, there was
it
like
could have
no one
been.
there either. Like it was
Yeah,
like
dude.
completely dead.
It was dead. It was run down,
It
to
looked
say
like a
the
school.
least. Yeah, it was rusty. It was the lights
Maybe
were
that was just like the
flickering.
set. Maybe like it wasn't like, obviously they were using it as a hospital in the movie, but maybe for the set it was like a school or
Maybe.
something because it just
But
looked like terrible.
so Michael gets there. His father is supposed to have bodyguards outside of his room. Nobody's there. He walks in. He sees his father on the hospital bed. He's got the IV hooked up. He's unconscious. And the nurse comes in. She's like, "You can't be here. The police came. They already escorted everybody else out," which that also kind of confused me. If they maybe it just happened, but I feel like the family would kind of know that his bodyguards weren't there anymore if they were told to leave the premises by the police. But regardless,
Why did they leave?
he
Why did they leave Vito there? Like they left one patient and one nurse with the whole hospital.
I guess
Like
so,
they
yeah.
evacuated like 500 people because like the mafia families, like the Barzinis and Salazzo was gonna come kill this guy. Like it was
Well,
so
I
confusing.
think there was other patients. They just didn't show that.
I mean, it just looked empty to me, but
It did look really, like
like I didn't
scarily
see
empty.
anyone else. I didn't see nurses. I didn't see doctors. I'm like, what type of hospital is this?
Yeah.
Like this shit looks like I don't even know what it looked like, but that part was super confusing, just set wise.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of just suspended my disbelief for a second to try to follow the story, but yeah, so Michael kind of puts two and two together. He figures out they're gonna send hitmen to kill his dad. So he kind of goes into panic mode. He puts his foot down because the nurse tries to get him to leave as well. She's like, "I'm gonna call the police," and he's like, "No, do you know who my father is? Is Don Corleone. They're gonna send men to kill him. We need to move him to another room right now." They're moving him to another room at the
That
same
part too, though, I'm like,
time.
how does the nurse know who he is? Like, I thought this was a hidden thing. Like,
I don't know. I
they're
guess
like,
like I
my
said, I
dad is
think
like Obama.
I can't hear you. Did you say yes, we can?
Like, my dad is
yeah,
Don Corleone. It's like, okay, if I was the nurse, I would have been like, cool. Like,
yeah.
what does that mean to me? You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
know.
Like, I thought they were supposed to be like this family business was supposed to be like behind the scenes and stuff. That part too was like, did the director like just forget? Or is he like such a big figure in like that community kind of outside of the family business and stuff that like everyone just knows who he is? I don't know. That
I
part was
I
just confusing to me.
I think like the general public knows who he is. I don't think it's like uh today's like environment where people like the mafia and mob are they're really behind the scenes. Like you don't know big names or anything. Like back
Yeah,
then,
yeah, I
I
get what you're
think it
saying. It's kind of
was
like, all right, don't mess with these people. Like everybody kind of
yeah,
knew.
yeah. So they're moving him to a new room. Ends of the baker. So he shows up trying to get in Don Corleone's good graces with flowers. Michael's like, throw those flowers away. Put your put the collar of your jacket up. Pretend like you're holding a gun. So they stand outside the hospital, and lo and behold, there's a mysterious car drives by. They see them standing there, and they decide to keep moving. Michael's plan worked for the time being, but then not even 5 seconds pass, and a bunch of police cars show up, and that's when we get introduced to Mark McCluskey, who is a
What a
corrupt.
name.
Yeah, Mark McCluskey. What a freaking chud. Uh, he's a corrupt police corrupt police captain. He's hired by I guess Salazzo and the Barzinis, and he tells Michael, "Yeah, you got to get the hell out of here."
And slaps
Mike,
him.
yeah, Michael refuses at first. He's like, "No, I'm here for my father," and he has two of his policemen hold Michael while he proceeds to throw a haymaker right to his face. It was a bit jarring for sure. But then, like right after he punches him and tells him to leave, the Corleone's posse shows up, and then I guess the cops decide to back down. I guess they didn't want it to escalate into like a shootout. Corleone's men show up, and they decide to, let bygones be bygones, and I guess
Everybody kind of goes their separate ways.
yeah, the police leave. So the Corleones have a meeting. Michael's there. Sonny kind of like assumes the role of Don Corleone. He's kind of like a temporary replacement for him, calling the shots. That's the way I kind of saw it.
Yeah, like he's the oldest son. He's kind of being like, we need to retaliate against Salazzo and the crooked cop McCluskey, because like our dad was shot by Salazzo's men and McCluskey slapped Michael. Like it's just been, they're kind of like, they're in the mafia. They're like, we need to get back at these guys.
Yeah, definitely. And then this is kind of where Sonny's character is, I guess, kind of how he acts is revealed. He's rash. He's impulsive. He, he's not very level-headed in a way.
No, not at all.
He wants like immediate revenge. Like, oh, we gotta kill Barzini and this and that, and like everyone's telling him like, hold on, we don't want like a full-on mafia war going down. We're gonna try to negotiate. And surprisingly, Michael chimes in because they want to set up a meeting and basically kill them. And Michael chimes in. He's like, "I'll go to the meeting, and I'll kill him. I'll kill Salazzo. I'll kill McCluskey." And everyone's
like, "What?"
Yeah, they're like, "Nah, dude, you can't do this.
Like you're a college boy. Like you're educated.
Exactly.
Like you have a good life going for you. Like you're gonna make $500,000 and buy a mansion and have a golden retriever. Like you're not about this."
He's the golden boy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But Michael doubles down. And he's like, "I'll go," but then they kind of talk about the details of the meeting, and like what Michael wants to do isn't possible. They're like, they're gonna pat you down. We don't even know where the meeting is. Right now, they don't have a solidified plan on how they would even go about doing this. But during that meeting,
I actually think Salazzo and McCluskey, I think they actually want to meet with Michael. It's the other way around. I think they wanted to meet with Michael to kind of like tamper down tensions with the mafia families because they know Michael's not involved. Like, so I think they're like, they're like, let's meet with Michael because like we know he's not going to try any funny business. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
they know he's like a Harvard guy or whatever. Like they know he's not going to be like carrying any guns. He doesn't want to be involved with anything and stuff like that. So like they actually want to meet with him.
And Michael agrees. So during that meeting, like I said, they don't know where the meeting's going to be. But during that meeting, conveniently, Sonny gets a call and he gets an inside scoop. It's escaping me how he got this information or who he got it from, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was like McClenza or something who answers the phone. I don't think it was Sonny, but it was somebody like.
Oh, it was somebody they knew at the restaurant, correct?
Something like that.
Yeah, somebody they knew at the restaurant that the meeting was going to be a place that's where they were going. So then they devised this plan. They knew Michael was going to be pat down. So they decide to plant a gun at the restaurant before the meeting. So
yeah, it's like an Italian restaurant in like Bronx, in the Bronx.
So they're gonna tape the gun behind the toilet because it's an old timey toilet, I guess, one with
where you like pull the
chain.
Flush, the chain toilet.
Yeah, and they're like, don't be suspicious. Just ask to use the restroom while you're talking with them. That's what they decided to do. Yeah, basically. So Michael gets picked up
by like Salazzo and McCluskey.
They're driving. This part was kind of intense. I was kind of worried that
I thought Michael might get killed.
I thought they were going to kill Michael as well. They were basically putting their foot down, like, this isn't really a meeting. We're just kind of relaying like what's going to happen. During the drive, they do a quick UE.
Like, I think they were just trying to throw people off the case just in case anybody was watching or following or whatever.
So they get to the restaurant. They sit down. They're having a meal. They're talking. Salazzo says, "I'm going to speak to Michael in Italian."
Yeah, can I just say on this part, I did not have subtitles on or I had subtitles on, but they weren't working for probably over 50% of the movie. So like, even during this conversation that you're about to talk about in Italian, I thought that the director was just like, wanting us to think they were just speaking about something in Italian. Like, I didn't know what they were talking about. So I missed like a ton of context for like specific parts where they were speaking in Italian. So I'll just preface with that. I had no idea what they were talking about.
I am in the same boat. For some reason, for some reason, my subtitles were working the entire movie, even when they had like short phrases or whatever in Italian. There were subtitles in English, but for some reason, I have no idea. When we got to that scene, there was no subtitles, and I thought the same thing as you. I was like, okay, maybe that's kind of what the director wanted. They don't want you to know what they're talking about. But I assumed it was the conversation kind of went like Salazzo was basically telling Michael, like, we will stop going after your dad, but your family is going to agree to the deal that he initially proposed of them providing protection and money for the narcotics business.
I thought they were trying to order the gabagool.
Yeah, they did order the gabagool. But during the scene, I don't know if you thought this, but Michael not being involved in this kind of activity with his family, he seems so out of sorts, dude. He looked sus as hell the entire
Oh yeah, 100%.
time.
I would have
He
not.
was
I
white
would have
in
not.
the face. He looked.
Yeah.
I mean, his eyes were wide open. Like, if I was Salazzo or McCluskey, I would have been like, okay, he's gonna try to kill us because he looks like sick to his stomach. But they didn't pick up on his body.
He was like
language,
sweating and stuff too.
Salazzo did seem a little suspicious of him when he did ask to go to the bathroom. He wanted McCluskey. He
pat him down again.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, is he good?" And he's like, "Oh, I patted down thousands of."
I wouldn't have let him. I wouldn't have let him go to the bathroom. Like, I'm not letting anything happen, bro. Like, you're literally sitting at this table and like you're not leaving until we leave, because you never know. Like, I felt like that was a little naive of the characters. Like, come on now, like someone who really asked to get up to go to the bathroom in this sort of situation. I'm like, that's sus.
Definitely, yeah. So Michael gets up, goes to the bathroom. I kind of went to panic mode here because he reached for
he couldn't find the
planted gun, and it was a good 20 seconds before I think he pulled it out. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I thought they put it at the wrong restaurant or something.
Well, I thought that maybe they knew that they planted the gun and had scoured the place beforehand and found it. But eventually he finds the gun. He washes his hands and he comes back out to the restaurant. And this is another part where I'm like, God, how did they not see this coming? Because Michael comes out of the bathroom and he just stands there and stares at them. And I'm like, at that point, if I'm Salazzo or McCluskey, I would have at least had my hand on my gun or something, because he looks very suspicious right now. He comes back down, sits. I think they exchange like a few more words, and Michael pulls out the gun, shoots Salazzo right in the head, and then turns to and McCluskey is like, he's so shocked at this point. He's got steak in his mouth, but he's like, what the fuck? And then he turns to McCluskey, shoots him. He stands up, starts to walk out, drops the gun, and that's the end of the scene.
That part I was like, that was probably the most shocking part of the movie, and maybe the best part to me, just because I'm like, I don't know. It was just a very tense scene. There was like, you could hear like the train in the background and all the anxiety building up and all this stuff from Michael. It was a very well directed scene, and Al Pacino, honestly, like, for all of the movies that he's been, the tension in that scene was incredible.
All the stuff to build up the suspense with the train in the background. Part of the reason I guess Michael was acting that way is I think he was truly conflicted of whether he was going to do it or not right then and there. Because after he does that, he's fully in. There's no turning back.
Yeah, I mean, that scene is so out of character for him. I was honestly shocked he did it. Even after he grabbed the gun, I was like, no way he does this. Like, he's going to just back out, he's going to finish eating his food or whatever, and kind of be like, all right, I can't do this. This life isn't for me. That was definitely the most shocking part of the movie. I truly did not expect him to go through with it.
Yeah. It was the catalyst that started Michael's transition into becoming like a ruthless mafia leader like his father. This is where it kind of takes a little bit of I don't know if it's a time jump, but we find out that the family decided to send Michael to Sicily in Italy because they know he's going to be hunted down by the Barzinis. This is kind of the part of the film where it really kind of slowed down for me, and I didn't understand the significance of some of the stuff that was going on.
I think it was just showing that like these mafia people are like ruthless, like they'll hunt you down anywhere. I think that was kind of like the main point of it. And also
Yeah.
I think it showed like Michael basically after killing people lost like his empathy, considering that like, he like gets married to a whole other girl and this and that, and then, once she dies and he goes back to New York, he's like he basically doesn't even acknowledge that it happened. Like I think that part was just trying to show that like he's in exile. He doesn't care about like what happens to him or anybody else at this point. It's just like, it's he's just completely gone emotionally or like empathetically. Like he's kind of just doing stuff just to do it. I think at this point he's lost himself.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. The him falling in love with the Italian girl, I can't remember her name. That part just seemed really contrived to me. It didn't seem the only thing I can make of it is maybe Michael, he did this for his family. He killed Salazzo and McCluskey. He fled to Sicily, and I thought maybe he's just going to try to start a new life there. He did what he had to for his family. He's going to go be back on track to being like a good civilian, not involved in the mafia, and try to leave that behind him. Did you
Yeah,
did
like
you
be
think
a
that at
lawyer or
all?
something. No, I thought he would eventually come back to New York. I don't know. I was just kind of thinking I did not expect him to like get into a relationship and to get married or anything like that. I thought, he would spend a couple months or the year, whatever they said he had to spend there, and that would kind of be it. Definitely didn't expect kind of like all the craziness that happened.
You could see glimpses of Michael kind of becoming the new Don Corleone. When he first, and he first saw the girl that he eventually married, and then they go out or they go to, I guess I'm assuming it's some sort of restaurant or whatever, or I don't know what kind of establishment it is, but they're sitting outside. He's with his two henchmen that I guess are there for protection with him, and the guy comes out and they find out that the girl they were boasting to this guy about how beautiful the women are, and one in particular that Michael saw, and they describe her to him. That's his daughter. You kind of see glimpses of Michael becoming Don Corleone, and one is right here where he's like they're telling him to leave because they don't want to start any trouble, and Michael's like no, and he brings the guy out there and he tells him, hey, I want to be respectful. I find your daughter very attractive. I want to get to know her. My name is Michael, and he introduces himself. And for me, that was him kind of like establishing his presence in a way.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to kind of reveal his identity and stuff like that too. Like, say his full name and all this stuff. I didn't know if he had like a secret identity when he was over there, exactly what the case was with that. I mean, I was kind of shocked that he, kind of revealed. He even said like he was in exile and this and that. So I didn't really know what, exactly what was happening there. If you're trying to stay hidden, I probably wouldn't say, this is my first and last name and this is why I'm here type of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe that's when maybe like his bodyguards or whatever, or his henchmen that were with him, thinking he was somebody else or something, and then after he said
Oh
that,
yeah,
they
that could
like
be it. That's
they
when
like,
they
oh, this is the guy. I don't know. The
maybe
whole
yeah.
Italy part was just kind of confusing to me.
There's a lot of things in this movie where you can kind of draw your own conclusions as well. He gets to know this girl. This is what I'm saying. Where I felt this part felt kind of contrived, and not. It just felt unnatural. He marries her. They have a wedding. it seems like he's starting a new life here. You don't know anything about this girl other than he locked eyes with her and he was quote unquote struck by lightning. During this, you get some scenes back in New York with Sonny kind of taking charge. And this is also showing Sonny being very temperamental and rash and not really fit for leadership. He finds out that he goes to visit his sister Connie, the one who was married in the beginning. He gets to her house. He sees she has a black eye. He's like, "Where is he? I'm gonna beat the hell out of him." And she's like, "No, don't. I hit him first." Regardless, if she did hit him first, I mean, I can see where Sonny's coming from. Somebody hits my sister, I'm beating the hell out of him. Sonny tells her, "Oh, it's fine. I'm just gonna talk to him." He finds him. He tracks him down, and it looked like in the middle of the street he's walking, and he chases him down, and he proceeds to beat the ever living shit out of him. And this is where I thought some of isn't really practical effects, but this choreography for this fight. I mean, some of the punches that he's throwing are like
He literally
a foot,
misses.
a foot away from this guy's face. So I was laughing a little bit at this part, but
Yeah, I was like,
this,
I thought that fight was like, it just looks so fake. Like I
yeah,
was like, what the heck?
yeah,
Like it doesn't even look. They're like
it was
literally
pretty
like
bad.
punching. Like even when he's getting beat up, it's like literally he's like punching and it's like hitting like his arm or something. Like I don't know. It just looked completely unrealistic.
This is one of the things that Sonny does that eventually leads to his demise, and being rash like this. So you find out later on that Carlo decided to give information to the Barzinis about Sonny's whereabouts or where he's going to be at a certain time. Connie and Carlo, it shows a scene with them after this where they're at home, they're getting into a fight. Connie had heard I guess, a voice message on the phone about a girl.
Yeah, like he's cheating.
Yeah, he's cheating flat out. This guy has no shame. He's an asshole, which is so shocking that with him knowing the Corleones and like what they're capable of, he's beating Don Corleone's daughter. He's cheating on her. Like he's basically asking to die. Anyways, they get into a fight. It doesn't. They get behind closed doors, but you basically assume like Carlo beat the hell out of Connie again. It's just terrible. I didn't like that scene at all.
Yeah, she's like smashing all of the dishes and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't like that scene either. That was uncomfortable for sure. That was probably like for some reason I thought that scene was like worse than the murders, even though they didn't even show anything.
Carlo decides to tell the Barzinis after this fight that Sonny's going to be on his way to basically kill me. He tells them where he's going to be going, which this kind of scene I didn't really understand how he knew like when he was coming or what route he was taking, because Sonny on his way gets stopped at I don't know if it's like a toll booth. What?
Yeah, I think it's just like a toll booth. Like you gotta
Toll
pay the
booth.
toll to drive through it.
And he gets stopped at the toll booth to pay, and then all of a sudden, all these guys pop up with literal machine guns and just unload on him.
Yeah, literally, like they turn him into a Connect Four board.
They turn
Like-
him into a Connect Four board. Swiss cheese, yeah, dude. Well, they were in a mafia war, and Michael had killed Salazzo and Mikulski, who were valuable assets to the Barzinis. So they were taking their revenge, and they did quite literally. They shot up Sonny. There was no chance Sonny was living this. He was.
If Sonny lived that after getting blasted by like 10,
I would have turned it off if he would have lived that.
not. I mean, are we watching like Return of Christ?
Yeah.
Like how would he survive that? Like genuinely.
We go back to Michael in Italy. Seems like all is well. He's teaching his Italian wife how to drive. They seem like they're living a happy life, and this is kind of where shit hits the fan, and Michael finds out, the news reaches him that Sonny has been killed, and then that he needs to be relocated. He kind of becomes privy to like, oh shit, I'm not safe here. I can't just escape my life. As they're about to go relocate, his wife is sitting in the car, and he once again puts two and two together like, oh, they're gonna assassinate me right now, which I didn't really pick up on that in the moment. That part was super jarring to me. The car that he's supposed to take, where his wife is sitting in it, he looks over and it blows up right there, and she's dead on the spot. And one of the bodyguards he had with him at the beginning of his time in Italy, I'm assuming was kind of the orchestrator of it,
Like betrayed
double
him. Like,
agent.
yeah.
Yeah. So he looks at him and that guy runs away.
But I definitely like didn't expect the wife to just like get blown up.
I watched this with my girlfriend, and during this whole time of him in Italy, she was like, "Why the hell is he getting married? I thought he was already with Kay." He's not a wanted
I
man.
thought though
He's
he was
wanted
like
by the
planned.
mafia.
I thought he was only supposed to be there for like a year though. Like maybe he was just like, all right, screw it. Like I'm safer here, or just like he doesn't want to go back. That was like the kind of confusing part too. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Either way, all of that transpires, and Michael now goes back to New York, which I guess because he's not safe in Italy anymore. Looks like his dad is now being discharged from the hospital. He's brought home. So at first I thought, oh, he's discharged from the hospital. How much time has passed? I mean, maybe he made a full recovery, but you find out he's still in a hospital bed. They brought it to the home. And then he's slowly getting better. I mean, he's conscious. He's talking with his family. They're all one by one going to greet him, and his grandchildren and everything. And I thought it was a pretty touching moment, like showing he really cares about his family. I mean, as far as you can kind of be empathetic towards the mafia, but
I think after he gets shot, like he's a different Don Corleone.
oh
Like
yeah,
he's got a
definitely.
lot more empathy. His yeah, I don't know. He just changes his I think he changes his perspective on life a little bit.
Eventually, he makes a full recovery, and Don Corleone calls a meeting of the five major mafia families to kind of negotiate a peace treaty. He was this close to death, and he doesn't want that anymore. If an attempt wasn't made on his life, it might have been different. This war might have gone on for who knows how long, or who knows how many people would have been killed. But because it was him and he's so close to death, he has a different way of looking at things now. So he calls the meeting with the five families. I mean, he states his case of why he turned down the initial offer to finance and provide protection for the narcotics business, and he stands on business. He's like, I didn't agree with it then, and I don't agree with it now. But it's unanimous that all the families want to be involved in it. They think it can be very
Yeah, they were kind
advantageous.
of like they were like, oh, you're making like $1 million a month now. You can make 3 to 4 million or whatever the case
Yep.
is with the narcotics. So they're kind of like basically saying that he's stupid if he doesn't go through with it.
He realizes, it's his only option is to agree with it. So he decides to do it. And I guess his main motive for doing this, I guess this happened before Michael returned home. He wanted, because he found out there was a hit made out on Michael. He decides to agree to join the narcotics business so that Michael can come home safely, and that there's no more bad blood between everybody.
He just wanted the war to end for his family's safety. I mean, obviously, I think Michael specifically, because he knew that as soon as he got back home, they would probably try to come after him. But I think, after getting shot and also his one son dying, Sonny, really affected him as well.
Yeah.
Like there's even a scene of him, getting teary-eyed, which, kind of throughout the whole movie, Vito, Don Corleone is kind of like, very masculine figure and stereotypically masculine and stuff, and crying is seen as, weak and feminine and this and that. So I think like that was kind of like, okay, like the fact that he's like tearing up about his son getting killed and Michael's away in Italy and all this different stuff. He's just like, all right, we need to end this now. Like too much has happened.
Michael comes back to New York, and I guess one of the first scenes that you see with him is he's waiting outside of Kay's place of work. She's a school teacher, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so he's waiting outside the school. The school is letting out. She comes out and she's like, "Holy shit, you're back. Oh, this part was I couldn't believe that she decided to get back with him.
He
He,
also said that he was back for a year. I was
yes,
like,
exactly. She's like, "Oh my God, you're back. How long have you been back?" Or she assumes that he just got back, and he's like, "No, I've been back a year." So already,
was that him
if
lying though? Or was he
maybe
really back a year? I mean, they don't say anything about it.
they don't fully explain
I
a
mean,
lot
he
of the
does look
details.
different, like a little bit. Like for some reason, he's like dressing in like fancy clothing now.
Does
I
he
don't
still have a black eye at this point?
I
Because
don't
for the
I don't
longest
know.
time, when he was punched by McCluskey at the hospital,
Yeah, if you guys
he
still remember the McCluskey punching or slapping, like, 6 hours ago, he had a
he
black eye for like a
he
lot
had
of
a
the movie.
black eye for like a third of the movie, and I'm like, how hard did this guy get punched? He meets with Kay after not seeing her for some undisclosed amount of time. Who knows if it's been a year? Who knows if it's been longer? Well, it had to have at least been a year since he said he's been back for a year. And he tells her, he's like, I want you to marry me, and I'm gonna be a part of the family. And he tells her it's gonna be a legitimate business within 5 years, which she's already kind of privy to what they do.
I think
Uh,
she knows what's going on, like maybe not 100%, but probably like 70, 80%. Like she knows
yeah,
it's mafia and all this and that, but I think she's kind of like, don't ask, don't tell sort of thing.
one of the
Definitely.
first scenes at the wedding, she's kind of asking about some deal that his father made, and Michael tells her that, the famous line, "Oh, he gave them an offer they can't refuse," and she
Yeah.
kind of pries a little bit. And she's like, "Well, what was the offer?" And he's pretty blunt about it. He's like, "Oh, Luca put a gun up to his head and told him you're gonna agree to do this, or there's gonna be a bullet in your skull." So she knows what they're about, and I get, like I said, I couldn't believe that she just agrees to this, but I guess she's madly in love with Michael, and she agrees to marry him.
But like he
And
literally got married before, and then his ex-wife got blown up at a car bomb, and like, I mean,
yeah,
maybe he tells her all this like off screen, but I'm just like, dang, like a lot has happened since they were like in a relationship, and like when he left, I think she comes like one time and like speaks with Sonny or McClenza or something like outside of the family home, just kind of asking like where Michael's at or whatever, and they like I think they like don't tell her. But yeah, like I don't know. It's just like, all right, he's gone for like 2 years or something, and then they see each other and she's like, let's get married. I'm just like, okay.
yeah,
Like,
it
I don't
it
know.
it, it was a little unrealistic. Yeah, well, not even a little, a lot. I couldn't believe
Man,
that
if it was that
she
easy,
agreed to
Tinder
do that.
wouldn't exist.
Yeah. Uh, all right, so moving on, we kind of see that Don Corleone has kind of taken like a not necessarily a step down, but he
He's just
operates
old.
more. He's not as much in the limelight. He's kind of like a wise figurehead of the family now. So Michael is like gradually taking over more responsibility for the family, and
Yeah, like they have a scene where they're like somebody's asking like, Vito Don Corleone a favor, and he's like, you need to talk to Michael.
yes,
Like Michael's
yes.
the head of the family now. Like
Yeah. Well, he
he's
says
he's
like
he
Michael
makes
is gonna
decisions.
be the
He
head of the family.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
makes decisions or something like that.
Yeah. They have a meeting with the family, and I guess they're talking about, because in the beginning, I don't think we mentioned this, but they sent Frito to Las Vegas to kind of get in good graces with a casino owner there. His name is Mo Green. I guess big time casino and hotel owner, business operator, entrepreneur, whatever. They're trying to, I guess that's a little some source of their income that they make, and they decide that they want to buy him out. So they send Michael along. I think Tom is there, maybe a
Yeah, I
couple
think
other
so.
guys. They send them to Las Vegas. So we go there, and this is where you kind of really see
This is Michael's like
Michael.
first test, I feel
Yeah,
like.
this is where you kind of see Michael like really taking charge and assuming his role as the new Don Corleone. He basically stands on business with Mo Green, and he's like, "We want to buy you out." And Mo Green is livid. He's pissed off.
He's
He
like, you want to
feels,
buy me out? I'm the one that buys you out, and
yeah,
like all this different stuff.
exactly. He's like, the Corleones aren't what they used to be. They took a hit. Nobody fears them anymore.
Mo
And
Green too, bro. I'm just gotta say, Mo Green looks like the most stereotypical like '70s porn star or something like ever. Like,
yes, he did. He really
like
did.
Mo Green, bro. Also, his name too. It's
Yeah.
like Mo Green. I don't know. It was just funny.
But you kind of see, like, while they're there, what Frito has kind of been doing. Kind of seems like he's just sucking up to Mo Green, or he has
Yeah, like
been.
he
They
kinda, I think
mentioned,
he kind of lost like his loyalty to like his family. Like it seems like
yeah,
he's more loyal to Mo
yes,
Green.
and Michael mentions that as well because they're talking, and Michael had found out, like, I guess that Mo Green had slapped him in front of people before, and he's like, "You don't put a hand on my brother," and this and that, and kind of
And Fredo
subtly
like
threat.
defends Mo Green.
Yes, and he kind of Michael subtly threatens Mo Green, and this is where Frito steps in. He's like, "Oh, he didn't mean it. He's been great to me." And that's kind of glossed over for a little bit. But during the scene, Michael just seems so, like, cool, calm, and collected. Like, this is where I thought, like, he's like Aura Farm in here.
He went like Christian Bale Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
Like he went Bruce Wayne on him.
He's not he has no reaction to Mo Green flipping out on him, saying, like you were saying, I buy you out and the Corleones aren't what they like. Michael has almost no reaction to this. He's just like, I said what I said, and it's gonna happen, or there's gonna be consequences. But he does tell, after the meeting, he pulls Frito aside and he's like, look,
I think he's
so
basically saying like if you ever disrespect me in front of people like that again and like don't defend me, like we'll have you killed, is kind of the way I took it.
yeah, yeah. So that scene kind of concludes.
The Vegas plot.
We go back to New York, and Don Corleone is playing with his grandson, which that part was a little jarring to me as well. You find out that Michael and Kay had a kid, and he's like,
Yeah.
three
Like
or
how much
4
time
years
is
old
passing?
at this
Yeah.
point.
Like
Yeah,
between the
they
Mo
don't touch
Green
on that
scene
at
and
all.
that, it's like 4 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what
Um,
happened in 4 years? Like you guys had a whole child and like, what else happened? Like, I don't
Exactly.
know. I mean, it's already 3 hours. Might as well make it 4.
Yeah.
Like you didn't show anything. I'm like, you had a child?
Yeah. I
I
was a
agree.
little
I agree.
taken
That was
aback by
that was kind of crazy.
So Michael comes back. It shows this scene with him and his father. They're kind of sitting in the backyard, having a little bit of a heart to heart. And Don Corleone tells Michael, like, he never wanted it to get
Like
to
wanted
this.
this life for Michael.
Exactly. He tells him, you're the first Corleone that, I guess, like, went to college, wasn't a part of this criminal lifestyle. He was like, he tells him it would have sounded so good, like Senator Corleone or Governor Corleone, like you could have made a name for yourself
But not
without.
being involved with this.
Exactly. And also during that conversation, they do talk a little bit about the family business, and there's a meeting that's somehow Don Corleone has become privy to. He tells them that Barzini's are going to set up a meeting
To like
somehow
kill him. Yeah.
with Michael, and somehow, I don't know if maybe it's a hunch. He's such a seasoned veteran
Yeah,
in
I
this
think he's just
field.
like I think he's just like, hey, these guys are asking for a meeting, and I've been doing this for like 50 years. So if they're asking for a meeting, they'll probably try to kill you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way I saw it as well. But
Like he knows
another
his
thing
ops.
is
He knows
tells
his ops.
yeah, and he tells him, whoever, he's like, somebody, in our family is gonna bring this to you and tell you they want to set up a meeting. Whoever that is the traitor. Uh, that's where I was like, man, how do you know
Man,
that? I guess
he was the mob boss. Like
he's
he
just
seriously was.
experienced.
Yeah, he knew it was gonna happen. That might be one of after kind of thinking about it, that may be one of my favorite parts as well, just because it really did show like, hey, Like the OG Don Corleone has been doing this. Like I've been in the game so long, like, y'all don't even know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, he's OG. He knows what he's talking about. So after this scene, it shows Don Corleone playing in the garden with Michael's son. Seems like a very, you know, wholesome moment.
Yeah,
They're
he's
playing
older.
together.
He's kind of like, he's
Yeah,
basically retired at this point.
yeah. They're chasing each other around the garden, and I mean, you could kind of tell where it was leading to,
100%.
because it was too happy. You know, in a movie like this where there's so much like death and despair and all this stuff, and like when something good is happening, something bad is following. So during that scene, and at this point, you already know that Don Corleone is sick. They had mentioned it before. He starts coughing and he collapses and he dies right there. So they proceed to have a funeral. All the major families show up. During the funeral, Michael glances over and he sees Sal Tessio. He's talking to the Barzinis. You can't make out what they're saying because it's from like 50, 100 feet away, but Michael glances over and sees them talking. And shortly after, Sal comes over to Michael and tells him they want to set up a meeting. So immediately, Michael knows that Sal is the traitor. And this is kind of where Michael has a light bulb over his head and he starts to plan. This was, for me, this was kind of like the climax of the movie.
I mean, yeah, there was definitely multiple parts that I guess you could say was the climax, but for sure.
Yeah. So we don't really get to see what's going on inside Michael's head or what he's planning, but he tells his family this is shortly after his sister had a child with Carlo, which at this point I couldn't believe Carlo was still around. Yeah, dude. But he says,
I think it's because like there was multiple parts in the movie where they probably could have killed him, but they were like very worried about their sister not having like their baby, like because she was pregnant, they were like worried about her child not having a father.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they kept saying like we don't want to make a widow out of you,
Right,
so I think that's the only reason he stayed alive for that long.
Yeah. So Michael states, during his niece's,
his sister asks him to be the child's godfather,
yes.
Which is obviously everything's leading up to that, and I think that was obviously some symbolism. The movie's called The Godfather. Don Corleone died.
Yes.
He's becoming the Godfather. Exactly. That sort of thing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So he decides, he makes a big deal out of it. Like I'm going to become the godfather at the child's the baptism of this child, and
they were talking about how they like took it very seriously, like as I think in Italian families, but specifically like I guess with this whole like mafia thing, like becoming a child's godfather is like a huge deal, sort of thing.
Yes. So we cut to the baptism of his niece, and he's there where he's becoming the godfather of his niece, and he's orchestrated this plan to kill the heads of all the family. So while we're seeing the baptism of the child, it cuts to some of his hitman taking out Barzini and then the other family head, and he's just there, just cool, calm, and collected, just like.
Yeah, I think too, this is like definitely where, there's been multiple parts where, Michael has kind of, and, thrown himself into this thing, but this is definitely where everything kind of comes together. You're like, all right, this guy is no longer, the college boy. He's no longer this or that. He's fully a criminal. He's getting people assassinated. I mean, he killed people earlier himself, but you know what I mean? Like now he's kind of killing people for, not even for his father or anything like that. This is just truly out of selfish intent.
Yeah. Also, I mean, not necessarily, well, yes, selfish intent in a way, but also, I mean, it's a power move because they had already negotiated peace, and his father knew that it wasn't gonna stay peaceful. He told him they were gonna plan the meeting, try to execute him. So at this point, after his father's dead, nobody's really holding him back. And he's like, I'm going to take charge, and I'm going to go ahead and, nip it in the bud, in a sense. And we're going to be the established, like, family. Nobody's gonna screw with us. Yeah, that scene was awesome though. Like it would cut to the baptism happening, then it'd cut to one of his people kill. At first, I didn't really know what was going on. I thought maybe it was the other families coming to the baptism to try to assassinate Michael there, but it showed all the other heads of the family being murdered.
I liked how it was like kind of the dichotomy of like the pastor would say, I don't know exactly like verbatim, but he would be like, do you follow this rule in the Bible not to kill? And then it would like show one of like the people that he orchestrated getting killed and stuff like that. So like it was, the dichotomy of like, wow, this guy is like, getting, putting his faith on the line here while he's, betraying it at the same time.
Yeah. They murdered the heads of the other families. Michael finally confronts Carlo, this asshole who's been beating his sister, cheating on her, and he has a meeting with him, and he confronts him about Sonny's death, and he's like,
basically snuffs him out.
Yeah, he puts him on the spot, and he's like, I know you did it. Who did you talk to give Sonny's whereabouts? And at first he's
like, I didn't do shit.
Yeah,
like, what
he's not complying. He's like, it wasn't me. And he's like, listen, I know you did it. Tell me who you told, and we won't kill you. He's like, and like you said before, he's like, I'm not gonna make my sister a widow. And I truly believed him. I don't know why.
Same. I did not expect this part.
But they tell him, you're out of the family business, but because you told us, we'll let you live so that, my sister doesn't become a single mom. But they sent him on his way.
Basically like sent him to exile. Like they weren't like, oh, you can stay with your wife. They were like, we'll let you survive, but that's about it.
And you think that's that, and Carlo gets in the car and is immediately strangled to death. So good riddance to that guy. He had it coming.
And yeah, I mean, after that, like kind of the sister confronts him about it. She knows that Michael had some sort of involvement in this.
Yeah, so that's where we get to the final scene of the movie. Basically, is he's in his office and his sister comes in, just the way he puts it, hysterical. Which, I mean, for good reason. But she's like, "Why did you do it?" Screaming at him, and he just basically, like you said, he's cool, calm, and collected. He has no reaction. He just sends her out, and Kay is there with him. And once they send her out of the room, Kay confronts Michael, and she's like, "Well, did you do it?" And this part is where I felt like this is where Michael fully assumed the role that his father had, where he just lies right to Kay's face and says, "No, I didn't do it." And God, she is so gullible. She just believes him. She just believes him. And he's got this like smug look on his face.
I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, after this part, the movie ends with kind of all the, his remaining family and kind of everybody in this mafia family that aren't related, like biologically coming in and basically declaring Michael the new Don Corleone, and Clemenza, or one of the guys, kisses his hand and calls him Don Corleone. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, and then you kind of see Kay see that happen, where they kiss his hand and kind of, start sucking up to him and stuff like that. And she has this face, and I'm like, I don't really know if she, I don't know if she believes that he didn't do it.
That's a good point. Like you were saying, kind of just turning a blind eye to it and just, not necessarily, like you said, not believing, but choosing not to, in a way.
Yeah, like what I forget the saying, but basically, like, the less I know, the better.
Yes, exactly. Like you said, and then, after that, the movie concludes. He went from, like we said, the golden boy of the family, not involved, military, college educated, to now a ruthless mafia leader.
What would you rate The Godfather, Callan? What did you think about it? Give me your overall perspective, rating out of 5, and tell me a little bit about what you thought about the movie.
I enjoyed the movie. I liked it. It was a great, compelling story. My rate. I'll say this. My rating right now was a 3.5 out of 5 after the first watch. So 7 out of 10. It was like, my main issue with it was it was like we said, it was a bit of a slow burn. It was kind of congested in a way with a bunch of different things going on at once. The performances were amazing. I thought they did an amazing job kind of building the atmosphere, the tones, building suspense. Like I said, some of the subplots didn't seem really relevant. They could have cut a lot of it out, and some of the characters weren't really integral to the story. They didn't need as much screen time. Could have spent more time on Michael's character development. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. What about you?
Yeah, by the way, follow us on Letterboxd at Critic Callan. That's Callan's, and mine is at Christian Alliso, Alliso. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the movie as well. I did think it was slightly long. Like, I think they could have cut out some of the scenes in Sicily and just some of the I don't know, just some of the plot that was just a little bit played out, a little bit overdone. There was a couple scenes that I just felt like, this is a lot of exposition or this and that. And I'm not a hater of exposition. I'm not just like I need to see, running and gunning all the time. But I think there were some scenes that definitely could have been cut to make it, a little bit shorter of a movie. I'd say you could probably cut it down 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I will say I noticed some things in the movie that were a little bit different than watching a movie today. Like, when there was a scene that was cut, from shot to shot, there, it would like fade out into like a black screen or a black circle, or it would swipe or whatever. Some of the
Yeah.
effects between the cuts were kind of funny. Like, you don't really see that much these days. Because obviously they weren't working with very, I don't even know if they had editing software in the 70s, but they were working with very, very primitive filmmaking, tactics and things like that. So, but I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5. Like I said, follow us on Letterboxd at Christian Alliso, Alliso, and at Critic Callan. That is CRITIC CALLAN.
That concludes our review of The Godfather. Yeah, like Christian said, follow us on Letterboxd.
Yeah, and we'll be back soon with another review with another classic film.
I am your father.
You shall not pass!
You're gonna need a bigger boat.